Today, we're building a drawer system. We're gonna be assembling a drawer system for a 5th gen 4Runner, but if you want to do this for a Land Cruiser or LX470, it's basically the same process, just the dimensions are a little different. The assembly we're doing today is going to be based on our plans or the kits that are for sale. If you're working from our plans, we're assuming that you've got all this stuff cut out already. If you bought the kit, then there were 2 options. One of them basically comes with all of the woods you see here, and the other one comes with everything that you see here, including the hardware, with 260-pound drawer slides that lock out. You've got a hinge, you've got handles for the front, and it even comes with the screws. The kit basically comes with everything you need, including the holes pre-drilled. You will need to do a little bit of sanding, and you will still want a drill with a number 8 countersink bit on it, a driver, and some wood glue. If you're watching this and you just want to make your own, then basically you can still follow the process that we're doing, but you'll need to go out and do your own measurements. The kit basically comes ready to assemble, and the process is simple enough that even I could do it, but I'm going to hand over to Wes now because he doesn't know how to operate the camera.
Now, whether you bought one of the kits or you bought the plans, you'll have access to the plans to help with the assembly. And what we're going to be working on now is called subassembly number 1 in the plans. Now, I've got the bottom, the 2 sides, center divider, and the back panel, and that's what we're getting ready to assemble. Now, this is a part where you're going to have to really stop and think about what you're trying to achieve. Which side you want the fridge on. On this one, we're going to put in the fridge slide on the driver's side. So I have the bottom panel up right now, and you can tell this is the back because I've got the screw holes across it. And then here are the screw holes for the sides and the center divider. If you can't tell just by looking at it, you can use your tape measure and see that this is the narrower side. We got 20 inches to the center there, 21 inches here. The narrower side is your fridge slide. We're going to have to turn this thing upside down and screw from the bottom side into the sides and the center divider. So I'm going to do that now. A way to quickly identify the sides and the center divider are they're all going to have this same hole pattern in them. This will be later used for the refrigerator compartment. The 2 sides will be just a hair longer and have 3 holes in the ends, and the center won't have that. So you want to make sure while you're putting this together that you have these all in the same orientation. We're going to start out with the sides, and we're going to have the back of this L shape towards the back of the bottom. Now I'm getting ready to install the back, and right now I'm at the back of the drawer system and the refrigerator is on my left side because it will be on the right side once it's finished. So you want to make sure that the hole cut out for the hidden drawer is on the fridge side and that it's at the top of the cabinet. So mine will be going in this orientation right here. Now the spacing between the side and the edge of the opening for the hidden drawer is 19 inches. And that's a very important measurement because of the thickness of your drawer slides and the drawer that's underneath the refrigerator. The center divider needs to stay parallel to the side and be 19 inches offset. So obviously here we can just flush it up, but everywhere else we need to go by and make a few marks at 19 inches just to make sure that we keep everything as parallel as possible. Now that we've got the sides, back, center divider, it's time to put the top on. Again, just making sure that the opening for the fridge slide is on the correct side and facing away from the back. At this point, we're on page 7 of the plans, and we've just finished subassembly 1, and we're getting ready to start on subassembly 2. Now this will be the bottom of the refrigerator compartment that sits in here, and it holds your slide system and tilting system for the refrigerator. It's composed of 2 pieces. The bottom, which is going to have this groove cut out that'll be on the top of the bottom, and then it's got a back that's just going to sit flush with the back. Now there's already 4 pre-drilled holes here, so we'll glue that on and screw it in, and we'll be ready to install it. When we install the fridge compartment bottom into the subassembly 1, we want to make sure that the bottom is perfectly parallel with the top here, and that space is going to be dictated by this piece of wood here. Now to make it easier to do that, I'm going to turn the box on its side so gravity is holding it down in that direction, and I'll get one side screwed in, and then flip it back on its back and get the other side done. All right, now that we've got subassembly 2 completed, I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna start working on the driver's side drawer that goes right underneath the fridge slide. Or if you're installing this, reverse, then it'll be your passenger side drawer. So I've got the pieces laid out, and something you wanna make sure you do before you start screwing things together is just double check and make sure that the backs line up the correct width when you have the sides on, because there's only an inch difference in the bottom between this drawer and the other drawer. It'd just be very easy to get the wrong bottom in. We're gonna put the sides on the bottom first, make sure to keep them flush with the sides of the bottom. Then once those are on, we'll take the front and back and put them on. Right, now that we've got the driver's side drawer done, I'm going to work on the passenger side. One thing that you're going to want to do before you assemble this is just take your sanding block and get it down inside these corners just to smooth those. You can do it after it's put together, but it's so much easier doing it now before you put the drawer together. So now that it's time to install the drawers, there's something we need to talk about, and that is the drawer slides. So I've got a set of them right here, and there is a left and a right, and that's something you need to make sure you identify which is which. On these, you're going to want to push down to be able to pull out to disengage the lock. Once you identify your lefts and rights, then we're going to take the outside ones, in this case it'll be this one, and we're going to remove the latch from it. That way you only have to use one latch to open and close the drawers. That's as simple as drilling out 2 rivets, one here and one here. So I'm going to take this over to the drill press and drill those out real quick. Now, if you've installed drawer slides like this before, you're going to want to ignore what you've known in the past, because we've got to install these slightly different. So I'm going to go ahead and take the inner part out on both of them and set them in. And because we're using these slides as the drawer slides or runners for the hidden drawer, we want to install them completely tight up against the top. Now the outside drawer slide, the one without the latch, you'll install like normal, flush up against the edge. Your inner one that has the latch, however, you'll want it to stick out 1/2 inch past. To do the other side, I'm going to flip it back over and use a spacer that comes with your kit. Now in your kit, you're going to have a spacer. It's just a little under 5.5 inches that will allow you to have these drawer slides at the exact same height as the ones in the smaller drawer. And what I do is I set it about halfway back, balance it on that, and then get it where it needs to be and screw it in. In your kit is going to come 2 1/2-inch shims, and you'll want to lay those kind of in the center of your drawer opening, sticking out about halfway. You'll want to make sure that those don't get pushed into the drawer, so while you're pushing the drawer box in, you want to be able to hold on to the bottom of them. You also want to go ahead and pull out your drawer slides partially. Then you want to push your drawer in most of the way, but not all the way. At that point, you're going to want to pull the slides out to be flush with the front of the drawer. Now with the drawer slide flush up against the front, you want to go ahead and start installing some screws. Now at this point, you can pull the drawer out all the way and put the remaining screws in. Now before you put the drawer back in, you want to remove the shims completely. As you're sliding it in, pay attention to your bearings and make sure that your slide is inside the bearings and it's not just pushing the bearings back. You see how the bearings will slide onto the drawer runner. Then you can push it in. Now when you get it most of the way in, it's going to become hard to push. It's only going to be like that the first time you install it. Push it back, and now it'll operate correctly. Now we'll do the other one just the exact same way. The next step is going to be the refrigerator slide assembly. Now this piece is going to have a matching groove to the one that's already on the shelf here for your refrigerator compartment. And you're going to want to make sure that that groove is down. And then you'll take the two sides, and they're with pre-drilled holes, and attach them to the side, staying flush to the front and back. All right, next I've got the pieces here for the fridge tray that your refrigerator will either set in or on depending on the size of your refrigerator. And it's got two long pieces just like the drawers that will be installed flush to the front and back. Then it has front and back pieces that will cap over top of it. So we'll get those put on and get ready to install the assembly. Now that we got both pieces of the fridge tray assembly put together, it's time to assemble everything together. And I'm going to start out by installing this piano hinge first on the slide here, and then second on the actual cabinet itself. All right, now we're going to install the tray into the slide mechanism. And we've modified the outside slide just the way we did the other outside slide, taking the latch off, and we'll have to install it the same way with that 1/2 inch offset on the latch side and flush on this side. We're going to use the drawer dividers from the big drawer to be our spacers here, as we're going to want this to be elevated up off the table. So when installing the tray here, you want to make sure you use the vertical slots in the drawer slides, because we're going to want to dial this tray in as close as we can to make sure that the insert is flush with the top. If you're using a refrigerator that is 54 quarts or below, more than likely you'll be able to use just the tray as it is. This will take a refrigerator with a footprint of up to 13 5/8 by 22.5. But if you're using a Yeti cooler or a larger cooler or a really large fridge, then you may have to install this piece permanently. Now, I use this piece just as a cover when I don't have my fridge in my vehicle, so I can just make a flat system here. But if you've got a bigger fridge, you'll want to install it permanently. So what you want to do is try to get all the grooves exactly even, and then use the pre-drilled holes to screw it down. You do not want to glue this down just in case for some reason, if you're using a cooler now and later you use a fridge that fits, you're going to want to use that tray. Now the next few steps I'm not going to actually install because this drawer system's sold and it depends on the end user's preferences. Your system's going to come with 2 of these hooks if you bought the kit with all the hardware. And if you're using the tray, you'll install those on either end in the center, and that's how you'll strap your fridge down, assuming that you want to strap yours down. Now, if you've got a bigger fridge or cooler and you're using the full panel, then you'll attach it here and there and strap it down. Now, with the top panel, you should be able to do a fridge about 18 inches wide by 25.5 inches long. You could do longer, but you're going to then be overhanging at the back. It's just going to be a little bit more complicated to figure out how you're going to strap it down. Your kit's going to come with 2 of these straps. The main purpose of the strap is to hold your fridge or cooler down, but that's only going to use a very small portion of it. The rest we're going to use in several places, the first of which is on your slide out here. Now you want your fridge or cooler to slide out just far enough to right before it gets to its tipping point. And that's going to be different for every fridge or cooler. So you want to actually have yours on here, have it filled up somewhat how you normally would, and just see right before it gets to that point of tipping, you're going to want to mark the back of it so you can get a good measurement of how long you need your limiting strap to be. You're going to want to fold it over itself 3 times. You're going to actually put backwards on the bottom here, and you'll screw in and you'll use 4 of the pan head screws that are provided. And then you pull the length to about the middle of the drawer, fold it over 3 times again. I'm not going to cut this one because we're not installing this now. You fold it over 3 times again, pull out your drawer, and then you'll screw that to the bottom side. Now the next place you're going to use a strap is for limiting how much this can tilt up once your slide is out. Now for most refrigerators, that, or at least the ones I've used, that's a 30-degree tilt that they allow. But you need to check the instruction of your refrigerator and do what the manufacturer suggests. Now if it's a cooler, it doesn't matter. You can tilt it as much as you want to that you feel comfortable with, that you're not going to spill stuff out of it, and you'll adjust your strap accordingly. And similar to what we did under here, you'll fold it over on itself 3 times, screw it once here, then down, and screw it into the actual drawer system itself, using 4 of the pan head screws provided in each end. Now we're going to begin on the hidden drawer or the rear drawer. And it's going to start out with just 3 pieces, back and 2 sides. We won't be installing the front right now. We'll wait till after we get the drawer pushed in before we put the drawer front, because unlike typical drawers, this drawer is not going to have a false front and an actual front. It'll just be one front. Now for the rear drawer, we're going to go ahead and slide it in, and it's just going to be running right on top of the drawer slides we installed earlier. Now for the rear drawer, you'll want to make sure that the smaller of the 2 holes is facing out. That's for your handle to go into. And you'll want the closer side of the hole to be to the top, and you can tell by the screw holes how it should be. You'll just want to try to eyeball your drawer front and get it as centered as close as possible. I've got all the drawer fronts just sitting on, and I've got the recesses around the drawer slides. And from here, I'm just going to try to get them evened up, straight, and just what I think looks visually appealing. And then once I do, I'm going to use these pocket hole screws with the square heads to go through the handle hole and just screw them into the drawer fronts. So you'll notice that I'm leaving a smaller gap at the top than I am at the bottom. Once you get weight in these drawers, they're going to settle just a little bit. So if anything, you want to favor the top just a little bit. Once you've got these screws through the front, you can open up the drawers and run some screws in from the back side, and then take those screws out. Now you'll want to take a 3/16 drill bit and drill all the way through your drawer front and the drawer itself. We can't pre-do this with a CNC because based on how you've built it, these drawer fronts might be shifted one way or another a little bit. Now the next step is we're going to take these 4 blocks and basically make L shapes out of each one of them. And these will end up being the supports that you screw the front panels into after you've installed the drawer system. Now on either side, you're going to put these brackets right flush with the underside of the top and the front of the side panel. And you'll use the 1¼ pocket hole screws to attach it to the side. The next thing we're going to do is get ready to install the wings. Now we've got these soft close hinges, and the holes for the cups are already drilled in there. So you just want to push them in and make sure that the hinge is perpendicular to the straight edge here, and then attach those with the provided screws. Now with their hinges in their compressed position, you want to put the wing on the appropriate side, and the bevels that are on either side, those will be at the back, and that allows to match the bevel of the seat when it flips up. So you want to hold these on the side, keep the top of the wing as flush to the top of the box as possible, and make sure that your front edges are lined up, and then attach the hinges. After you've attached them, you can adjust the hinge forward and back if you need any adjustment. Now I've got 2 16-inch strips of the blue nylon, and what you're going to want to do is fold it in about 2 inches on either side, and then fold it on top of each other. Assuming you're wanting the handles on yours, I come over 4.5 inches from the front, 5.5 from the side, and screw it in at a 45-degree angle. For the last step, just like you did with the drawer fronts, you want to line this all up and then run 2 pocket screws through the holes in the mounting panels here to attach this. Now, as soon as we do that and we're happy with it, we're going to take them back off because you cannot install this into your vehicle with the panels in place. So you'll take it off, put it in the vehicle, and then come back in from behind and screw these on.
If you're installing the drawer system in a Land Cruiser or an LX470, the process is super simple. You just slide it in and you're done. In the 4Runner, there are a couple of steps, and it depends on what accessories you have in the back. If you've just got the base system like I have in here, which is the carpet, all you need to do is pop out these tie downs, unscrew them, take them out, and then this piece of trim comes out completely, and the drawer system just slides in. If you have the cargo tray, the process is a little more involved because you do have to take the whole cargo tray out, but it's actually worth taking out all of the individual fixtures because you can then sell it, and they go for around $300 and you can recoup some of your costs. If your 4Runner came with third row seats, obviously you'll have to remove those, and unfortunately the third row seats also include cup holders that come way up higher than this, so you'll either not install the wings or you'll have to modify the wings. And finally, if you have the OEM subwoofer that came with some of the 4Runners, the box still does fit. fit, but you'll just not install the wing on the side of the sub. We've had some people ask about how you secure the draw system down, but the way it's designed, it fits so snug against these back seats that there's no way it can actually move around. But if you do want to, in the 4Runner, you've got a couple options. You've got threaded holes here where this piece of trim sat, or if you've got the draw system, it sits in some threaded holes as well. And then you've got the factory tie down points at the far end, and then in a Land Cruiser you also have those factory tie down points that you can use to secure it down. If you'd like to see something like this developed for your vehicle, definitely let us know in the comments. Next up, we're working on GX470 and 80 series Land Cruiser, but we basically want to cover all of the popular off-road and overlanding options. You guys help us with our market research here, and anything that's popular in the comments, we're going to start working on. And if you want to hear updates on what we develop as we go, I'll put a link to an emailing list in the description. You can sign up for that and get updates. Thanks for watching.